Good morning, dear children. Welcome to your chemistry class. In the last class, we have started the chapter Separation of Substances. In this chapter, we have learned few separation methods. Which were they? Hand picking, threshing and winnowing. Today we are going to learn another method of separation, which is very familiar to you. We often use flour for making a lot of dishes in our home. Before making different dishes, what do? We used to remove the impurities or
bran
from it. How do we do that? We used to do sieving for this. And that is another method of separation, for which we use a sieve. When we are sieving, small or fine particles will be coming down through the holes of the sieve, whereas large particles will remain inside the sieve. That is how we are separating small particles from large particles. Can you say which type of mixture can be separated by this method? Yes, you are right. Solid mixtures which differ in size. Solid mixtures which differ in size can be separated by the method of sieving. We use sieving at home, in flour mills as well as in constructional sites. Let's see how they are used in different situations.
Here you can see a mixture of wheat flour, mustard seed and some grains. We are transferring the mixture into a sieve. Then we are shaking it so that only the fine flour is coming through the sieve and getting collected in the tray. Larger size impurities get collected in the sieve itself.
Now, let's see how in flour mills we used to separate the stalks, husk or stones from the rice or wheat by sieving before making the flour.
Here sieving is done to separate the impurities. We can either collect the grains directly or we can get the flour from the grains.
So sieving is used in flour mills also. Now let's see the case of constructional sites. In constructional sites, we use large sieves in order to separate stones or pebbles present in the sand, so that the sand is separated from the stones or pebbles. I think it's clear to you. So we have learned about the method of sieving. Now let's watch a story in which a farmer is using different methods of separation. Move on to the story.
Kevin and Tina are on a road trip with their parents.
Looks like we have a problem with the car. The engine is overheated. Don't know why. I'll have to get a mechanic.
Hey, Tina, look. We have stopped right near someone's farmland. I wonder if we can take a walk and see it up close. Dad, can we go up to those huts and take a look at this farm while you fix the car?
Okay, but be careful and don't go too far. Your mom and I will keep an eye on you both from here.
Hello, who are you?
Our car has broken down nearby, but our dad is working on it. We just came by to take a look at your farm. Would you mind?
Not at all. In fact, I can show you around if you're interested. Let me just finish cleaning these grains.
Cleaning the grains? How do you do that?
Well, I'm just picking out the impurities in these grains by hand. The grains are quite big in size, and the amount of grain that I need to clean is not much. So I can do that quite easily. Hand picking allows me to separate the good grains from the waste and impurities, so that I have clean dal to cook for dinner tonight.
Hand picking is the basic method for separation of substances. It involves simply picking out substances by hand and separating them from others. The substances being separated may be impurities that have to be thrown away, like in this case. Or it may be that both the substances being separated are useful, such as if you separate green grapes from black ones from a mixture of the two.
I'm done hand picking these grains. Let's take a walk around the farm now. As you can see, these are wheat fields. The wheat is ready for harvest now. Look, there's my husband.
What is he doing?
He's threshing some of the wheat that has been harvested and dried.
Threshing? What's that?
Yes. Once the wheat has been harvested, the stalks are dried. Then, each grain of wheat has to be separated from the stalks to which it's attached, so that it can be ground into flour. This method of separating the grain from the stalk is called threshing. It's basically the beating of these dry stalks to shake off the dried grains. It can be done by hand, by cattle, or by using machines. Traditionally, threshing was done by hand, but the cattle help do this job quickly. Nowadays, threshing machines are also used to separate large quantities of grain at a time. We have one of these machines. It's called a combine harvester. You can see it there in the distance.
This is a smart way to separate grain from stalk. Imagine how long this would take if the grain had to be hand-picked off the stalks.
So, once the wheat has been threshed, all that's left to do is grind it into wheat flour, right?
Not quite. There is another step before that. You see, even though the large stalks can be separated from the grains by threshing, the wheat grains still have dried husk and chaff, which has to be separated and thrown away before the wheat can be ground.
But can that be done by hand picking?
No, it would be too difficult and would take too much time. Instead, we use a method called winnowing. Let me show you. In this basket, I have some wheat grains that are still mixed with their husk. Watch what happens now.
The husk is blowing away.
That's right. The husk is much lighter than the grain. So when I shake it gently and let it drop to the ground, only the wheat grains collect here, while the husk blows away.
Wow! That's a neat way of separating wheat from husk.
So, do you sell the grains in the market once they have been cleaned?
Yes, sometimes. However, we also have a grinding unit on our farm. So we're able to sell finished wheat flour or atta in the market. This is our small wheat grinding machine. Cleaned wheat grains are poured in from the top of the machine. The machine grinds the wheat into a fine powder or flour, which comes out from this opening and collects at the bottom in these large bags.
And then this flour is packaged and taken away to sell in the market?
Not right away. There is one final step that needs to be completed before it can be sold. You see, this machine grinds the wheat quite well, but there are still some thicker pieces or granules in the flour that need to be separated and thrown away. This is called the wheat bran. Can you guess how this is separated from the wheat flour?
Well, it can't be winnowing since we don't want the flour to blow away in the wind.
That's right. Instead, the method we use to separate this is called sieving. Sieving is a method of separating substances that are of different sizes. For example, this wheat flour has some fine powdered wheat as well as some bigger impurities. When I put this through a sieve, the fine powder falls through the small holes in the sieve, while the thicker impurities remain as they are too big for these holes. And hence, the substances are separated. Once the wheat has been sieved, it is packaged and is ready to be sold in the market.
I didn't know so many steps have to be completed before we got to eat our rotis. Harvesting, threshing, winnowing, grinding and sieving.
So dear children, hope you enjoyed today's class. Thank you.